let's continue with nature of hazard. Okay, number one is obvious hazard, which is apparent to the senses. Concealed hazard, which is not apparent to the senses. Developing hazard, which cannot be recognized immediately but will develop over time. And transient hazard, which is intermittent or temporary hazard. Okay, yang ni senses berkaitan kita boleh determine by deria. Kita punya deria lah. And then yang ni tidak boleh dirasa ataupun berkaitan dengan deria. Okay, yang ni boleh kita recognize dengan cepat. Tetapi dia develop bergantung pada masa. And then yang ni which is intermittent. Dia ada time dia lah. And dia berlaku sekejap sahaja. And type of hazard. Okay, when we talk about health hazard, so always relate with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These 5 items, which are biological hazard, or we call biological agent, chemical agent or hazard, ergonomic hazard, physical agent or hazard, and psychosocial or psychological hazard. Okay, the example of biological hazard including viruses, bacteria, fungus, insect, rodents, animals. And for chemical hazard, so the example of chemical hazard are smoke, dust, vapor, fumes, thinner, organic solvent, cleansing agent, detergent, glues, insecticide, paint, and heavy metals. And for the ergonomic hazard, it's related with manual handling, computer work, workspace, work layout, task design, and fit the task to the man. And the physical hazard, including electrical, slippery floor, uneven surface, machines, holes, noise, heat, pressure, space, vent, tools, fire, radiation, vibration. And example of psychosocial and psychological hazard, including sexual harassment, gender issues, socialization, stress, shift work, financial burden, marital problems, family problems. And when we talk about safety hazard, always relate with mechanical or everything that relate to the machine. And number 2 is height or gravity, electrical fire, explosion, violence, and confined space. And how to describe 3 types of basic or we call as traditional hazard analysis. So there are 3 traditional or basic hazard analysis. Number 1 is gap analysis, GA, job safety analysis, JSA, and hazard identification, risk assessment, and risk control, HIRARC. And other hazard identifying technique. So number 1 is preliminary hazard analysis, failure modes and effect analysis, FEMEA, and failure mode and effect criticality analysis, FMECA, and hazard and operability analysis, HAZOP, event tree analysis, ATA, fault tree analysis, FTA, energy trace and barrier analysis, operating and support hazard analysis, system or subsystem hazard analysis, hazard evaluation, and finally is human reliability analysis, or we call as HRA. So number one is gap analysis. So in the gap analysis, we have 12 choices. Number one is physical inspection, document reviews, exposure monitoring report, biological or we call as medical surveillance report, workers' knowledge and experiences, brainstorming, accident report, audit report, law review, OSH publication, inspection worksheet, contact industry association, and ask 5W. And the physical inspection of the workplace requires an inquiring mind, lateral thinking, and the ability to be and remain open-minded. And for the document review, so you need to report of accident investigation and audits, and you need to give some information from publication related to the regulation and code of practice, statistic handbook, and CSDS, or we call as MSDS, or we call as material safety data sheet. And it also relates with excessive noise, excessive heat, inadequate ventilation, radiation exposure, excessive air contaminants, and ergonomic hazard. For the biological and medical surveillance, when substance is used in workplace, substance is hazardous, evidence or reason to suspect injury, atmospheric monitoring insufficient, techniques available, and it will benefit those at risk. And for biological and medical surveillance, who employees requiring health surveillance and are exposed to hazard for which there is identifiable health effect or disease, likelihood that it could occur, valid technique for detecting effect, valid biological monitoring method, and reason to believe values might be exceeded. And also the step for brainstorming. What is a brainstorming? Brainstorming is a process of conducting group meeting with people who are familiar with the operation of the area under review, and then need to record all the ideas and thoughts relating to the possible hazard, and then sorting the result into some sort of priority order. And knowledge of employees. Employees should be encouraged to report any hazard they are aware of. And previous accident report. Number one is location, machine, person, age of person, time of day, day of week, part of body, severity of injury, and occupation. For OSH publication, this publication can be of particular benefit as they concentrate on reporting issues relating to safety and health. And for the context, a counterpart in another subsidiary of the company or even a contact in a competitive company could be a good source of information as they probably share similar safety problems. And for industry association, safety and health is often brought up industry association meetings or during informal discussion, before and after meeting. And for asking what if, it's important to try to anticipate how human behavior, equipment, and system failure could combine to create a hazardous situation. Constantly ask yourself what if. And you need to do the sum of the checklist and inspection worksheet standard approach and record, and safety audit worksheet involve supervisor, managers, and employees. And for the job safety analysis, JSA or job hazards analysis, okay, so it is an accident prevention technique which seeks to identify the hazard associated with each stage of a job. And B is to develop precaution that will eliminate or guard against this hazard. And number C is provide a safe work procedure to be used in job training or the development of a safe system of work. And completed JSA function as a briefing guide for infrequent jobs, teaching aid for initial job training, extended for safety inspection to assist in completing accident investigation and formulation of a safe work procedure. This is the list of the key element in job safety analysis JSA. Number 1, you need to select the type or job scope of the job. And number 2 is break each main action or step from the start, beginning till the completion of the job. Number 3 is use action verb used in each step to describe the job. Normally the job is described in less than 10 steps. And finally, you need to list all the possibility of things that can go wrong or causing harm or injuries.